Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is a video to compare the HTC Vive Cosmos with the HTC Vive Cosmos Elite. These are essentially the same headset, but the Elite comes with an external tracking faceplate and a couple of the original Vive controllers as well as the original Vive tracking base stations. The Cosmos Elite is essentially an upgrade for the Vive Cosmos, which makes it an interesting option for Vive owners, original Vive owners, and you can see why a little while as I go through the reasons why. Now, I reviewed the Vive Cosmos and I've been sent the Vive Cosmos Elite package to be able to compare the two. Now, when I first tested out the Vive Cosmos, I thought it sort of compared with the Oculus Rift S. The Cosmos comes with multiple external tracking cameras that allow for inside-out tracking, meaning you don't need the base stations and tracking stations, and it can track movement of the headset and these Vive Cosmos controllers thanks to those cameras on the sides and front and top and bottom, and that allows you to then track your movement in the room and the movement of the controllers in the game, and it results in a convenient package that only needs two cables to plug into your PC, a DisplayPort cable and a USB cable, and it makes the setup a lot easier. And it is also a wonderful upgrade over the original Vive in that it has the comfort and convenience of an extendable headband, a flip-up visor, it has improved visuals in terms of pixel count, it has integrated earphones, and a very nice balancing and a very good setup to it that results in pretty comfortable play style. However, when I used the original Vive Cosmos and did a review of it, I felt that it was lacking in terms of tracking. It didn't stack up compared to the Oculus Rift S, and I've done a couple of videos on this. Essentially, there are issues with it tracking at night and during the day. That it has problems just tracking those controllers. The Vive Cosmos Elite external tracking faceplate is the solution to this problem. This is a modular upgrade for the Vive Cosmos that basically replaces the standard faceplate with this tracking faceplate that then allows it to work with the Vive base stations, and that gives you a much more accurate and improved tracking system. Now, what this also means is that the Elite is an interesting upgrade option for anybody that owns the original HTC Vive. If you have the original HTC Vive and you have the original tracking base stations and the original controllers, you can buy the Vive Cosmos Elite headset on its own without anything else, and then just use that to replace your original headset, essentially upgrading your headset by having one that's more comfortable, has better audio and better visuals and a better look and feel, plus the flip-up visor and all that other goodness. And you can just integrate that into your current system and get a very nice upgrade. Doing so will cost you around £599 and about the same in dollars as well, so it's a sort of semi-worthwhile option. However, if you own the Vive Cosmos and you bought that and you're now frustrated by the tracking problems and you had no end of issues with it, but you didn't return it and you want to do something to improve it, that's another way you can do it, because you can buy the faceplate on its own. So you can get that external tracking faceplate and stick it on your Vive Cosmos, but then you will need the Vive tracking base stations and the original Vive controllers in order for the system to work. Using this external tracking faceplate means that you are taking away, as you will see in a second, some of the inside-out tracking cameras from the headset, meaning that it will no longer work with the controllers that come with the original standard Cosmos, making it improved in terms of tracking, but downside in that it won't work with those controllers, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and I'll talk about controllers a bit later on. Now, the external tracking faceplate, as you can see, is kind of thin and flimsy in the same way as the Cosmos in itself, and I noted this in the original review, although I do think the reason they've done this with a lot of the parts is they're quite thin and flimsy feeling, but I think they've done that for weight purposes. It's to keep it lightweight and comfortable and well balanced when you're playing. Now, to swap out the faceplates is pretty easy. You just pull off the standard one and you can see the process is basically just tug at it until it comes off, and you do need to take care doing this, I feel, because I do have a concern that it could be quite easy to break these if you were taking them off constantly. However, once you've done that, you then got access to be able to install the external tracking faceplate. Now, it's worth noting the Elite package will obviously just come with that faceplate already installed. Attaching the faceplate is only going to be necessary if you're upgrading the Cosmos with the faceplate as an additional purchase. But you'll note when you're clipping on the external tracking faceplate, you're then losing the top and bottom cameras, and although you still have the front ones and the side ones, you are losing that inside out tracking. However, those cameras could still be used for pass-through purposes to be able to see the world around you, and they might be used by developers in different ways as well. So that's kind of handy to still have those on there, and that's a nice way of doing it. It's a nice little setup, and this external tracking faceplate does make a big difference. In fact, it makes an incredible difference, and I'd highly recommend, if you are considering the Cosmos, get the Elite. It is a bit of a faff because you do need those base stations, and I'll talk to you in a bit more depth about that in a minute. Also, it's a pricey package. If you're buying the Elite package with everything included, it's £899, around the same in dollars, which is a lot of money, and I think that's more than what the original Vive was. I paid about $700 for mine when I bought it, so it's quite an expensive ask. However, it is a very nice bit of kit with some really good specs, very good comfort, and a really nice feature set. And I'll include all the information on the specs and everything in the description so you can check that out. And it does represent a nice visual upgrade from the original one, and it's a really nice bit of kit. Now, as I said, you'll need the Vive base stations and the original Vive controllers. The base stations need to be set up in your room, in each corner of your room, and they need to be powered and from the mains, and then they'll pair up and recognize the headset and track it better around the room, and that allows for a much more effective tracking and very satisfactory. I found a lot of frustrations with the standard Vive Cosmos that I have not had in using the Vive Cosmos Elite. There are various different ways to set it up. In the full package, you apparently get mounting brackets so that you can install the tracking stations on the walls. You can also just put them on top of bookshelves and things like that, or you can mount them on a tripod, as I'm doing here. So I had a tripod, I put one in one corner of the room, another one I precariously balanced somewhere else. They then need to be plugged into the mains. It's worth noting that these base stations also have a micro USB connection on the back of them that you can upgrade the firmware on them, update those. You have to plug them into your PC. It's a bit of a faff, and that was one of the things I noted about the convenience of the Vive Cosmos standard as it came, was the controllers updated over the air. Now, with the Cosmos Elite, the controllers and the base stations and the headset all need to be plugged into your PC in order to update the firmware, which is a real faff and annoyance. When I was setting this up, I had to do it for each of those things, and I'd already set everything up because I knew how to do it. And then when I plugged it all in, the software said, oh, by the way, you need firmware updates for all these things. So I then had to go through the rigmarole of doing that, but it won't happen too often, so it's not necessarily that big a problem. Now, you can see the Vive Cosmos Elite looks pretty mean. It's a pretty mean looking headset. It also has those little notches in it like the original Vive. However, if you have a Vive standard and you're wondering whether it's worth the upgrade, I will say it definitely is. The headband on the top, you can see, has a lot of nice padding to it. If you want to see more close-ups of this, check out my original Vive Cosmos review that I'll link to in the description, because I went through a lot of the detail in terms of the padding on the headband and the fit and comfort. You also have the controllers from the original Vive that, in my mind, are a better quality. They're a better build quality. They have rumble built into them. They have much easier use and comfort. They're integral batteries. I feel like they'll last longer than the AA batteries that come with the standard Vive Cosmos controllers. And a lot of people had complaints about the battery life on those standard controllers. These ones last a lot longer in my experience, and they perform a lot better too. They're quite rugged and robust and well built. It is a bit odd that you do have to get these controllers and you can't use the standard ones, although I can understand why that's the case. But it's a bit of a strange option, really. Unless you're buying the Vive Cosmos Elite outright, or use it as an upgrade for the Vive Cosmos, it's probably things are going to get very expensive if you're adding on the faceplate and all the extra bits that you need. And as a Vive Cosmos owner, you'll no doubt be frustrated by that. However, I will say that it is worth doing. In my experience playing with it, I played it during the day and at night under quite heavy and dark lighting conditions, a variety of things to test it out, because I had so many different frustrations with the original Cosmos in terms of using it in different locations, in my white office and in other areas where there was either natural light or there wasn't enough light, and it was nagging constantly about lighting. It's not an issue at all with the Vive Cosmos Elite. Having those tracking base stations and this upgraded faceplate means that it tracks the controllers better, it tracks your head better, and it allows you to just get on with gaming and having all that good fun without any of the frustrations of your hands suddenly disappearing or not doing what you're expecting them to. The end result is a very good headset that's much more worthwhile than the Vive Cosmos and is well worth considering. However, that said, I would say that it's still worth thinking about getting the Oculus Rift S instead. Perhaps it is significantly cheaper. The visuals aren't as impressive, I'll admit. The specs on paper, the Vive Cosmos Elite is superior. However, one of the reasons why the Cosmos and the Rift S were interesting was because you drop those base stations and you can plug it in and just use it wherever. Here I am seen in my lounge gaming on my laptop, just plugged into that. Much more convenient, you don't have to worry about faffing around with base stations if you're using a Rift S or the standard Vive Cosmos. However, the Vive Cosmos tracking frustrations really put an end to all that. So have a look at the Rift S video that I did and check that out and see what you think. Hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. This has been The Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting or hilarious. Be sure to subscribe and check out these other videos, as well as taking a look in the description for links and other information you might find useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see extra about this, and have a great life.